Greetings! In this video I'll be painting up a Veteran Despoiler from the Salamanders Legion. I tried to build this guy based on the Age of Darkness 3rd edition rules, specifically from the Zone Mortalis supplement. The 3rd edition launch box comes with Salamanders decals, as does a lot of the kits now, and as this Legion was specifically requested by a viewer, I figured it'd be an easy one to work with. I used a normal Mk.II Legionary, but gave him a Thunderhammer from the new plastic Cataphractii kit, and a Hand Flamer from one of the old resin upgrade kits. This combination of weaponry should help make him look like a veteran, without adding the typical Draken scale that you often see in earlier depictions. After assembly I primed the model black, and was then ready to start with a base coat of Vulkan green. I was trying to find a recipe that gave a warm green without being too bright. This meant avoiding Moot green as it's too bright, but also colours like War Flesh, as those colours tend to have some blue tones in them. A few thin coats of this colour and the base coat was complete. Next I used some Loren Forest, applied in a way that highlights panels that face the viewer. This meant keeping the recesses dark as well as anywhere that the viewer wouldn't be able to directly see, so between the legs and under the arms. I don't like having a light from a single direction, which forces a perspective, so this highlight was applied to the sides and rear as well. To finish the green I used some Orruk Flesh, which is a warm light green tone that has a bit of brown in it still, which I used to do some edge highlights. This worked very well to emphasise the panels, especially around the armoured cable sections on the legs. Next was Black Legion, blocking in the soft armour joints, the shoulder pads, and the right knee pad. The shoulders and knee pad will receive decals later, so I tried to apply the coats thinner than I usually would. That way the decal should have a smoother surface to stick to. Next I used some Corvus black to add some highlights to the shoulders and the knee. I thinned this down and applied a few coats to try for some shine effects on the black. After I had a rough shape lined up, I went back to Black Legion, thinned again with some water, to clean up the edges of the transition. I think it came out okay. I wanted to do something fancy for the haft of the Thunderhammer, as it's meant to be a veteran and this would be some kind of handmade weapon or something. So I used some Vorbak red to base coat the haft material. I then used Khorne red to paint the raised edges of the material as an edge highlight. Continuing with Khorne red, I base coated any wires around the model. For Mk.II armour there's a fair number of them on the power pack and often a couple around the legs. Mephiston red was then used to highlight the wires, hitting the areas that were most visible from the perspectives that you could view the model from. The wires on the power pack look especially nice with this. For the eye lens I also used this colour, applying it from the top so I didn't go over the green that I already did. I wasn't caring about the banded piece on his brow though, because that would be bronze later. Evil Sunz Scarlet, Wild Rider red, and then Lugganath orange were used to highlight the eye lens. As this is a single wide lens, I applied them in thinner sections going up. Evil Sunz Scarlet taking about 2/3 of the area, Wild Rider red about half, and Lugganath orange in the remaining third, making sure that it peeked out a little bit beneath the middle piece of banding where it hangs over. Now onto the metallics, starting with gunmetal grey. This was applied over the armoured cabling on the armour, as well as most of the weapon and power pack details. I hadn't decided which pieces on the weapons were going to be bronze at this point, so I just did the entire lot of them with gunmetal, so I didn't have to go back if I changed my mind on a piece. Duraluminium was next, highlighting the steel bits where they stand out the most, and along some edges to break up any flat surfaces. I didn't paint the rivets this time around, as the references don't do that, and I wanted to see how it looked like without them being painted in. Now onto the bronze armour trim, starting with the pauldron trim and the helmet banding. I used some bright bronze for this, as I really wanted to try and match the colour used in the reference. I think this one's a fairly close match, and I applied it in a few coats to get full coverage. Beyond the pauldron trim and helmet banding, I also painted in the skull beneath the torso, the shroud on the hand flamer, and some select bits on the thunderhammer. At this point I was ready to do some decals, so I applied some gloss varnish to the shoulder pads, the right knee pad, as well as a place on the torso and wrist for some Nocturnian runes. When these spots were dry, I applied some decals off camera using Microset and Microsol. I think they work nicely, though the Salamanders Legion icon is a bit small, despite me using the decal that was made for this kit specifically. It's weird. Almost done now, but I noticed one of the panels on the torso was missing a bit of silver, so I quickly painted that in. Then I switched over to some black enamel panel liner, and used it as a wash over pretty much the entire model. I focused this on the panel lines and around rivets, careful to allow it to pull around the rivets on the helmet without filling in the eye lens. I wasn't fussed with how gritty it made the model after drying, as this guy has a flamer, and the Salamanders generally favour flame weapons, so a bit of charring adds character, probably. But anyway, after it dried, I applied my usual basing method, painted the base rim black, then sealed everything in with some ultramatte varnish. And here we have it, a Veteran Despoiler from the Salamanders Legion. I'm very pleased with how this one came out, and the green is the tone I wanted, though it could be a tiny bit brighter. Maybe applying the same colours over a grey primer would have helped in that regard. But otherwise I'm really liking the result. The Thunderhammer really sells the model, I think. The Cataphractii kit has the same size hands as the normal Marines, so you can use their weapons on the rest of the 30k Marine range without conversion work if you wanted. Some of those combi weapons could be nice as a basis for a character conversion, as they're bigger and fancier than the typical combi weapons you see. But anyway, that's all I've got for this video. Remember, if you have a request for a chapter or Legion, let me know in the comments and I'll add it to my list. I am slowly picking away at the ones I find interesting to do, or if they're a bit different from the videos I've done recently. Meaning I am avoiding things like doing chapters with red armor twice in a row. I'm not sure which I'll be doing next, but hope you stick around for whatever I decide on doing next week.